But I'd have to say, overall, probably best player at TPE's got to be Scotty. You just can't. I mean, I've probably not played with him in his best years, and I think back in the day they used to say he was a bit nippier, and well, obviously nippier, but he was quite nippy. And I remember before joining TPE, Gaz used to talk us through how he knew which way he was seaming it and all this stuff, and we're having none of it. But I mean, even now at like 60 odd, and he's still bowling with an economy of 2 in sort of like B and C division first team cricket. And even when they play those cup games and they're playing sort of A division side when they've had decent cup runs last few years, and sometimes like that cup final, I don't know if you went to that cup final where they played Otley, everybody going around the park apart from Scotty, and they just didn't know what to do with him and couldn't play him. So I think you just can't argue with his record, can you? So I think he'd probably have to be the best player played with. Gaz has played a couple of unbelievable knocks I've seen. I know we've been playing twos, and we went and saw the back end of a game. They were playing Paul Park a couple of seasons ago, and we ended up chasing some like 250 off about 40 overs because it rained and we'd lost a few overs and what have you. I think he got 99 not out against that, and to knock them off a good side as well, Park, in sort of 40 overs with different class, and also probably not highest scoring innings, but one against Thackley a few years back. I think Thackley were doing pretty well in the league. They had Mahia, who's playing for us now, and Nasser Jamal, who were absolutely tearing up the league. I think they got some like 120 wickets in season. And they'd absolutely turned us over early on in season, and we're playing him at home later on. I think we've got him out for about 110, something like that. So we weren't chasing many. And I think he got 70 not out of 110. And I think there was only Sean who made double figures. Everything else were like a telephone book kind of score. Mm-hmm. And they were just unbelievable, these bowlers. And I remember him like pulling and hooking them into clubhouse and what have you. Incredible knock that. So I probably have to go with him, to be honest. Mm. I think the funniest player I've got to go with is Dave Shett. And to be fair, it's not necessarily because he's like always cracking a joke or anything like that. It's just the stuff that he comes out with. It's just so ridiculous. And a pretty smart guy, Dave, has a good job and everything, but just comes out with some absolute classics. You can guarantee at least a couple a week out of Dave. And I think the fact that it's sort of not intentionally funny makes it even funnier, because he's not trying to be funny. It's just some stuff. I mean, thinking back over the years and stuff like, he were paying somebody to work out his average at one point, but he got a not out and claimed that had helped his average. And he just, no, it hadn't, Dave. It hadn't helped your average at all. So the stuff like that, and got right through to, I think he were out at about 5-1 once at Otley. We'd started early and he were out plumb LB. Came stomping off the ground, throwing his bat around. It's like, I've never been out before 1 o'clock before on a Saturday. This is ridiculous, slinging everything. And he's like, and then I was plumb LB as well. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to go with Dave, funniest player. He's a belter. So I think we could rename this the Sean Kirkley Worst Banter Award. And I'd have to go with Sean. To be fair to Sean, he just gives so much stick out to the oppo, and he doesn't actually care if they've given it to him, if they haven't given it to him. He don't care if you're a kid, if you're an old fella, if you're built like, a brick, whatever else. He doesn't care. He's just going to give it out to anybody. And he's actually got a few wickets out of it, I reckon, over his time, which he'll tell you. He loves to tell you if somebody gets somebody out, that's his wicket. But yeah, he'll just hammer on about anything to the batter. I mean, recently we also got Nick in to twos last couple of years, and Nick likes to have a bit of a chat and what have you. Well, I think that just spurred Sean on, really. So then they'll sort of like, it's like a competition between the two of them then to sort of direct it at the way the batter usually, or bowler, even if it's Sean's case. So 3 batters, so I'm reckoning, you could probably put these in any order, to be honest, but I reckon I'd go with Gaz, Sean probably, and probably Steph Garbus, as Rog mentioned. So I think those 3 can pretty much hit from ball 1. They hit all round the ground, really, play some funny shots and some funny areas, and 3 were pretty quick between the wickets. So I reckon those three have been my three batters. Bowling wise, to be honest, Rod style, I probably back myself to bowl it, really. And I think it's important that you got to back yourself. If you don't want to do it, then you're going to struggle, really. I thought about some others, and I can't think of a bowler who hasn't really gone around the park at some point or another that I've seen. But in the end, I thought I'd probably pump for Coops, much as I hate to do it. Mainly because I just think he's got the bottle to do it. He's sort of always back himself. And you got to appreciate that, even if he backs himself for 23 overs as he used to do when it was 50 overs a side. But he'll always sort of bowl himself at death, or if times are tough, he'll bring himself back on. And he bowled well in that 2020 Cup final we had of the year. At second team, when we got to that, he bowled really well in that. And to be fair, I've seen him go for a 30 odd in an evening league over once at Denno, I think it was. I think we lost 5 balls in an over. But that was a few years back. I think he's improved since then. So, I think I'll probably go with him. So I'm going to have to go with Nipper. And the Nipper's had some very dodgy haircuts over the years, but my favourite of all was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It got well into Tower. He was spending a lot of time watching Tower here, and he decided that the top knot was the way to go. So he must have spent, I don't know, a few months growing his hair out for this top knot, and it sort of like peaked around. It must have been sort of just into cricket season, a month or two into cricket season, and he was having to start wearing the Alice band. You'll know a bit about the Alice band in a minute. And he was wearing an Alice band so that he could see what was going on. I think he was keeping a bit of wicket and wind the rebound and that. So he's wearing this on a couple of occasions, and it just looks shocking. But to be fair to the lad, throughout it all, despite how much hammer he got about growing his hair out for a top knot, kept going with it. And it actually finally got to the stage where he said he could tie it back and he could put it in, like, get it in a bit of a tail. Why you want to do that, I don't know. So he finally got to that point, and then he woke up one morning and decided he looked like an idiot and shaved it all off. never actually wore it as a top knot. Just spent 3 months getting hammer about it, and then bottled it right at the last minute. So I lost all respect for you that day, Nipper. This is a short one, quite literally this. So biggest badger I'm going to go with is Darren Wilson. He's an absolute cricket badger. Played with us for a couple of years, captained a little bit as well. And I played with him at Baildon in amongst. He will go anywhere for a game of cricket, Wilson. He plays for, like, as well as Baildon, he'll play evening league for anybody that'll take him. He'll play for, like, Sunday league games. He'll play out, even to the point where if you count in your drive runs in a game of cricket, like with your mates, what you can score without hitting wheelie bin and stuff like that, and you're totting them up for the season, I think you've got to be a full badger. So he'll go anywhere for a game. He'll count any run he can get, doesn't matter how long it takes him. And he'll chat cricket all day long. Sort of knows everybody, talks to everybody. Yeah, so I'm going with Wilson. He's my biggest badger.